Hi, my name is Brendan Howe, and this is your TDCNet Tech Tip, giving you tips and tricks on how to use technology more effectively. Today, I'm standing out in the TDCNet Network Operations Center, and I'm talking about Hosted Exchange. Now, Microsoft Exchange is the program that the vast majority of businesses use to run their email. When you're looking at Outlook, chances are it's probably connecting into what's called an Exchange server. That's the software that's running your email. Now, there's one of two ways that you can have your Exchange server set up. It can be hosted on-site in your office, back in your server room, that sort of thing, or it can be hosted off-site in the cloud. And there's a big debate right now amongst a lot of people of whether to move email off into the cloud and get it out of your office. Well, what I want to do today is give you a little bit of a rundown of what the pros and cons are of doing either or. It's not a straightforward situation. In the long run, most businesses will likely have their email hosted offsite in the cloud. It's just a question of whether now is the right time to move your email, or should you wait until the next cycle, 3 or 4 years from now, and move it off then. So, if you're on-premise, if your email is hosted on-premise, some of the pros: you have full control to manage and back up your Exchange server. So you're not ceding control off to anybody else. If you have an outage and your Exchange server is on site, you or your IT partner, that sort of thing, can get in, can fix the issue, and get you up right away. If you're hosted offsite in the cloud, it's a definite con that you lose that kind of control. You can't back it up yourself. If there's an outage, you're basically stuck sitting there waiting until your provider fixes the outage, and you don't have a whole lot of control over it. On the pricing side of things, with an on-premise, it's just a one and done kind of licensing model. So you pay one upfront cost, and then there's no ongoing monthly. So you'd pay for the licensing cost, you pay for any hardware cost, project cost, that sort of thing, and then you're done. If you're hosting an offsite, one of the cons of Hosted Exchange, depending on your perspective, can be that ongoing monthly cost and that addition to your overhead, the overhead of your business. And it usually costs more in the long run to be hosted off-site in the cloud, although that cost seems to be coming down on a regular basis the more competition there is out there. Another pro of being on-premise is that when you're emailing around throughout the office, there's less pressure on your internet connection because there's a lot of internal email traffic amongst your company. That goes over your internal network. It doesn't take up your internet connection, but therefore doesn't slow down your internet connection. If you're hosted offsite in the cloud, there can be a bigger load on your internet connection. You may need to upgrade that internet connection to deal with it. And another con of being hosted offsite in the cloud is that frequently, especially in the case of Office 365, it can be hosted down in the U.S. And there's lots of, if you're working with government or other agencies, a lot of them have certain stipulations that their data can't go down, can't be stored south of the border. So that's something to keep in mind. Some of the pros of being offsite, being cloud-hosted Exchange: you do have that monthly cost that will go up and down depending on your business. So if your business expands, it's really quick. You just add more users. If your business contracts, you can lower your overhead costs because you have less users using that email. A big con of on-premise is you have that big upfront check that you do have to write, and a lot of businesses don't like that for cash flow reasons, and some people just start to get sick of every 4 years you have to write another check, you have another big hardware cost and another big licensing cost, and that's definitely something to consider. When you're offsite, when you're hosted in the cloud, you don't need any infrastructure. You don't need that extra server sitting back there in your server room. You don't need to pay those licensing costs, and you don't have to go through the sometimes painful upgrades and migrations every 4 years. Another pro of being off-site is if the power goes out in your office, if your internet goes down in your office, if anything's going on in your office, it doesn't affect your email. So you could have Armageddon in your office, but people could look at their smartphones and they're still getting their email, can still reply to your clients, to your customers, that sort of thing. If you're hosted on-site, your internet connection goes down, your email is down. And if you have a couple internet connections, there can be a challenge with your webmail, with mobile devices working, that sort of thing, if one of your internet connections goes down. And it's something to consider. And one other consideration for cloud-hosted email is that it's simple and fast for remote users. It can be a little bit clunky, sometimes a little bit difficult when you're dealing with on-premise. On-premise Exchange for remote users can be a little bit slower, can be a little bit more difficult to log in. When you're dealing with cloud-hosted Exchange, that's a lot quicker. So there's a lot of things there. There's a lot of considerations to keep in mind. How to decide? It really depends on your business. You can't go with a one-size-fits all when you're looking at the cloud. You need to really look at your business. How many remote users do you have? What's the size of your business? What's your internet connection like? And what's the quality of your IT infrastructure within your office and the management of your IT infrastructure? So do you have a good IT partner that's managing your Exchange server so that it never goes down, or are you having tons and tons of problems? All stuff to consider. Hope that helps you out. For now, I'm Brendan Howe. This has been your TDCNet Tech Tip, giving you tips and tricks on how to use technology more effectively. Have a great day.